Today we are going to explore the newly launched Signature Series Pre-Engineered Pedestrian Bridge Solutions, our best designs from the last 25 years, boxed in kit form and ready to provide quick, budget-friendly solutions for your next project. Good morning and welcome to our webinar on the Signature Series. I'm Georgia Lance, Marketing Officer at Wagners CFT, and I'm here with today's guest speakers, Wagners CFT Project Delivery Lead Mitch Kelly and Lead Estimator Scott Brown. Mitch is the Project Delivery Lead at Wagners CFT, bringing a strong engineering background to drive efficient and innovative project execution. Mitch combines hands-on technical knowledge with leadership skills to ensure projects are delivered on time, within scope, and to the highest standard. His proactive approach and commitment to continuous learning make him a key asset in navigating complex challenges and fostering teamwork across multidisciplinary teams. Scott is the lead estimator at Wagners CFT, known for his keen analytical skills and deep industry knowledge. With extensive experience in cost estimation, Scott plays a critical role in shaping project budgets and ensuring financial accuracy from the outset. His attention to detail and strategic insight help the team deliver competitive, realistic estimates that support successful project planning and execution. We're also joined by Wagners CFT General Manager for Australia New Zealand, Ryan Leeson, who will be facilitating the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Welcome Mitch, Scott and Ryan. Before we get started, just a few webinar protocols. We are recording today's event and we'll make the recording public via the Wagners CFT YouTube channel. You can ask a question anytime during the webinar via the chat bubble at the top of the screen. However, we will hold your questions over to the end of the webinar for the Q&A session. And for anyone having difficulty accessing the chat facility, feel free to send me your questions via the mobile number I have just popped in the chat now. So let's dive into today's webinar. I will hand over to Scott.
All right, thank you, Georgia. Thanks for that introduction. I'll just share my screen quickly. All right. Thank you all for coming to the Wagners Signature Series. It's a project we've probably been working on internally for 4 to 6 months, and we're pretty excited to launch it and share it with you guys today. So let's get into it. So a bit of the history around the Signature Series. So at Wagners, we've been delivering hundreds of pedestrian bridges over our 25-year history. During this time, we've found that many of our clients' needs have been similar. This includes requirements for vehicles or adherence to various Australian standards. These include, but are not limited to, AS 1170, AS 5100, AS 2156, and AS 1428. What we've decided to do at Wagners is create a list of off-the-shelf standardised designs which are ready to be constructed and certified, removing the need for custom designs for each individual project. So in a nutshell, what is the Signature Series? The Signature Series is Wagners CFT range of pre-engineered pedestrian bridges built from the company's best designs over the past 25 years. It allows you to select and order a bridge quickly and in accordance with Australian standards. So I've listed some of the key benefits here, and might go into them a little bit. So first one is cost savings. So the Signature Series bridges just inherently require less design work, which is good. And then bracketry and connection details have also been standardised, allowing us to provide cheaper connections due to bulk buying power. Also got reduced lead times. So for those that have been involved in the process, designing custom bridges can be a very drawn out process with a lot of back and forth between multiple stakeholders. Standardised designs reduce the need for this, as clients can just choose the exact design they require for the project from the get-go. Drawings also available at the time of quotation. So drawings will be available straight from the time that you receive your quote, give a clear indication of what the structure will look like, and can be included in any budget estimates or tender submissions. And we also have client familiarity and ease of specification. So the whole purpose of these drawings, or one of them at least, is that the drawings can be incorporated into an existing drawing sets. They're all available in CAD and Revit format, and then they can be specified by engineers and design firms for their specific project. Then we've also got the predictability and familiarity. So the whole point of the standard build, or signature series, I should say, is that the bridge order in a few years' time will have the same look and feel as the bridge order today. And that this uniformity across our structures also intends to make life easier for our installation contractors through, known bridge lates, familiarity with the product, and lifting points on our structures. So I just might hand it over to Mitch to just go through what's available today, and then I'll come back at the end and close on a few points. So over to you, Mitch.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the live webinar. So to follow on from what Scott has explained, I thought I'd first run through where we are at with the development of the series and what is currently available. So as Scott said, the first and headline structure type for the signature series is our clear span pedestrian bridges, which are very much a sweet spot for us with the Wagners FRP product and our capability for detailed design and post-processing as well as assembly. So the bridges for the signature series have been hard launched. There is a brochure on our website as well as an inquiry form link. So Scott will take us through both of these shortly. I think George has already put those in the chat, and she'll make sure that they get sent out to everyone who has attended today. So basically, we have recently completed the design of a range of girder style and bolted truss style bridge solutions, pre-designed to Australian standards from 3 meters long right up to 30 meters long in 4 standard widths. So these designs are available upon request and can be used for tender design purposes or for instant procurement. So before we get into specifics, I want to give some photo examples of the pedestrian bridge structures that we're actually talking about. So when we say a girder bridge, it means multiple large beams side by side and joined together under the deck. So the deeper the beams, the more rigid and the longer we can span. And this becomes inefficient with larger spans. So we offer a truss bridge solution for spans 16 meters onwards. So that photo at the bottom right there is about a 30-meter bridge. So the signature series covers from very small spans right up to fairly significant structures. So a good summation of the bridge design types and lengths that make up the series is actually the table on the brochure on our website. So it's got bridge lengths across the top and different depths of girders down the side and their corresponding max spans based on a three loading criteria. And similarly for trusses, although trusses will be for an exact length rather than a max span. So I'll get into the details of these designs, but just want to say firstly that even if you have a bridge that doesn't fit exactly into the signature series criteria, it doesn't mean that Wagners don't have a solution. It just doesn't fit into the signature series. So our entire custom build business is based on creating custom solutions for your problems and has been for 25 years. So we'll be able to come up with a solution for your bridge. It just won't be from the signature series range. So to get into some specifics of the designs, like what makes up our designs and why what they're based on. So to start with the loading criteria. So as mentioned earlier, we have designed these bridges to suit 3 loading criteria. So these loadings are a grouping based on commonly used Australian standards for our structures. So as you can see from that table, the criteria we have labelled as pedestrian has a 3 kPa live load and a 1.4 kilonewton point load. This is straight from AS 1170 and AS 2156 as a walking track class 3 loading for pedestrian structures. And the second criteria is a shared path criteria, which is the most common we see for our pedestrian infrastructure in Australia. It covers all bases, 5 kPa live load and a 4.5 kilonewton point load. So this is a track class 1 from AS 2156 and suits all shared paths. So it's probably the best fit for the end application of majority of our bridge structures. And the third criteria is what we've done the emergency criteria, which is basically the same as the shared path, except with a higher concentrated load to allow for vehicles up to a 4.5 ton ambulance. So if you need to get a maintenance unit across a bridge or it needs to be used for emergency access, this is the criteria we have allocated for this situation. As touched on earlier, we have 4 widths as part of the Signature Series bridges. So these are 2 meters, 2.5 meters, 3 meters, and 3.5 meters. These are clear trafficable widths. And these have been chosen from a mixture of design codes and the most common widths that our bridges have been designed to over the past 25 years, as well as just being simple half-meter intervals. So 2 meters is commonly known as 2 pedestrians walking past each other, and 2.5 meters is the minimum width for a shared path structure, and then 3 and 3.5 meter widths are just for multiple lane pedestrian and shared path traffic. For the handrail, we have an extensive range of handrail options and a handrail brochure on our website, all of which can be fitted to our bridges. However, for simplicity, the most common 2 types, pedestrian and shared path, are shown in our Signature Series brochure and have covered for 90% of the bridge structures we have supplied. And the design loadings on these handrails are pulled straight from AS 1170 and AS 2056. It is also worth noting that the shared path barrier complies with Ausroad 6A, which is a guide that is commonly being used around Australia at the moment for cycleway compliance. So it covers that code as well. Another component of our structures is the decking. So we've designed the bridges to suit our 2 most common FRP decking products to create a full Wagners FRP solution. So these decking products are mini mesh and cover top. Cover top is more expensive, but is required if you need the emergency vehicle loading or a closed surface finish. The mini mesh is the most common decking type supplied with our bridges and is a very well-known, tried and tested product and is perfect for shared path and pedestrian use. One common question that has already come up with these pre-designed bridges is, are foundations included in the design? The short answer is no. The most common landing scenario for our bridges is onto a concrete abutment or shelf. So our Signature Series designs include a dimension guide for the abutment cap, connection details of the abutment, as well as unfactored reaction loads at each end. This enables full flexibility when it comes to the actual foundation design, because enough information has been given for any engineer to design the foundations and abutments for any of our Signature Series bridges. So due to the variability of sites and ground conditions across Australia and the world, as well as varying preferred install methods of contractors, we felt this was a good approach to the foundations for our bridges. So it basically guarantees that the best and most efficient foundation option, whether it be screw piles, micro piles, board piers, whatever, can be used in conjunction with our bridge designs to save on entire project costs for the asset owner. Another common query about our bridges is what flood load are they designed to withstand? So we have not selected a blanket flood loading to consider for all our bridges, as this could mean we are not supplying the most efficient bridge option for each span. So instead, the flood load for the bridges are designed to withstand is different for each bridge, and it is actually the maximum flood load the structure can withstand at deck level without needing significant changes to our design to accommodate. So it is our best, most efficient option. So where larger flood loadings are required for certain projects, it is often as simple as increasing bolts and member sizes. So while maintaining the same base structure, so as a starting point, we wanted to put forward our most efficient option first. So that's basically the starting point. And the varying factor in our flood loading per structure is actually the velocity. So the debris mat of 1.2 meters and the water level being at deck are just a standard and pulled from AS 5100. So and AS 5100 is also used to transfer these inputs into an actual load in the structure. And the different flood velocities for the structures range from about 0.5 meters per second to well over 2 meters per second, with truss bridges being inherently better at resisting flood loads. So quite a range of flood loads as it is, and with minimal changes required for higher flood loads, it's a good, strong starting point to be in. And it's also worth mentioning that wind region C has been considered for all our bridges, so which is above or equal to the wind loads for over 90% of Australia. And we also design for 100-year. All our designs are based on a 100-year design life, which is also a common question. And another common question to cover off is the structural design certification. So all our structures have been reviewed by third-party certifying engineers. However, best and common practice in Australia is for site-specific certification. So it will need to be undertaken when the bridge location is confirmed. Wagners can undertake the structural certification as as our standard. All the costs can be taken out, and if you have your own engineer that can do the certification, that's fine as well. The only things Wagners would need for certification is confirmation of location and then acceptance of the design standards nominated for the signature series by the asset owner. So our structures are confirmed as structurally sound by certifying engineers, however, are not pre-certified. So that sort of covers off the design stuff. So I'll hand back to Scott.
All right, thanks, Mitch. That was really good. Now the bridge. Now that Mitch has gone through kind of each bridge and the design specifics, might go through how to get started. So I think George is going to drop like a link to our website, so you can fill out our signature series order form on the website. We've tried to make the process as simple as possible, and we've narrowed it down to 5 steps. So we call it our 5 easy steps, and I'll just take you through each individual one now, and feel free to follow along online as well. Right, so step 1 is choose the loading of the bridge. So as Mitch referenced before, we've got the pedestrian, the shared path, and the emergency vehicle. As Mitch said, shared path is the most common, so we've just ticked that box there. Step 2 is identify the bridge length in meters as per the table. So as you can see down the bottom here, we can do girder bridges up to around about 14 to 16 meters. And then after that, it's just going to be a truss bridge. So please keep that in mind when ordering. Step 3, work out the width of your bridge. So as Mitch said before, we've got kind of 4 standard widths that we commonly see that we've nominated. Step 4 is to select the decking that you'd like, as well as the handrail, whether that be the pedestrian barrier or shared path barrier referenced earlier. And then step 5, just select your colours. So we've got 4 different colours. We've got the structural coating colours, which would just be for, say, the girders of the bridge. Then we've got the decking colours for the decking, the kick rail / handrail colours for our rails, and then the balustrade colour as well. And I think Georgia will drop the colour and coatings guide in the chat or send it through to you later. But yeah, we've got different colours for different parts of our structure as well. So please have a read of that before sending off your order. And then we've got one more column at the bottom, which is other details. So this can be the level of prefabrication, whether it's a budget for next financial year, whether we've got a large project and need to push this through, or anything else that you think would be relevant or good for us to know when we do up a price. Please include that in the other detail column as well. So a little slide now just about the workflow process. So once you fill out the form, one of our BDMs, or our business development managers, which we have one allocated to each state in Australia, will get in contact with you and just confirm any details with your order. And if there are no questions, the form will be then straight to me or one of the members of my team. After that, we'll prepare a quote for the BDM to review, and then the BDM will provide your quote with appropriate drawings and any other details you require. And then straight from there, hopefully everything's all good and we can just proceed to order and manufacture. Bridge supply. So we'll just go into this. So these are 3 different levels of prefabrication that we can do. So the first one is fully assembled and craned into position. This is by far our most common and easy for the guys to install on site. So we've got a team of bridge builders at Wagners that specialize in building these structures. So we just build them to order and then deliver them to site in that scenario. Second photo there, you can see kind of partial assemble. So we have had to do this at times where there's been site constraints and haven't been able to get a truck right in where we want it to go. So as you can see in that scenario, we have prefabricated the truss sections, and I think we pre-drilled the bearers as well. So if this is a solution that you think you're going to need, please include it in that order form, and we'll probably just have a quick meeting with you and just to work out the best way to do it. And then we've also got the third option for prefabrication is kit form. So this will be a piece-by-piece assembly on site. So this will be the most work for the contractor or installation contractor, I'd say, but sometimes, you know, the site can be really remote. You've got a helicopter gear in, and in that scenario, probably kit form would be the way to go. Looking ahead, I might throw it back to Mitch a little bit just to go through other stuff that we got coming up, which will continue on this kind of signature series theme.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, so sort of to close off Scotty and I as part of the presentation today, I thought I'd touch on where we intend on taking the signature series. So obviously we want to continue to develop and improve the bridges to make sure that they are always the best that we can offer. But the next steps for us is moving into other structure types. So critical one being boardwalks, which is a very common structure type for our product. So the plan is to launch the boardwalk series first up in the new year. So they will be very similar style to the bridges. However, we will be focusing on a sort of bay style approach to the boardwalk design. So having designs completed for boardwalk bays under loading criteria and spans similar to the bridges. So ideally procurement would follow a similar bay style approach, and then from there we can take into different opportunities, especially in the prefabrication space, which we do for our bridges. We can take that into our boardwalks, which we've done in the past with to great effect. It's gone really well. So we want to push that option a lot for prefabricated boardwalk sections that can be craned into place on site. So it just reduces site costs as well as environmental impact during construction. So another structure type we're actually pretty keen on developing is stairs. So Wagners designs a lot of stair structures, and there's definitely opportunity to take our experience and knowledge in this space and give back to our customer base by adding that to the series. So just want to change slide there. So in trouble there. There we go, stairs. And yeah, depending on the appetite for this pre-designed approach, it doesn't have to stop at boardwalks and stairs. Light poles, shelters, marine infrastructure, these are all right up our alley, and we have a lot of experience in supplying to these markets. So with our FRP products, so all the benefits mentioned earlier with the signature series bridges could be shared with other CFC infrastructure as well. So that's where we intend on taking it, and that's how we want to share our experience and knowledge and pass back savings and efficiencies back to asset owners and contractors. So I think that sort of concludes the formal part of the presentation. I think I'm going to throw back to Georgia.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation, Mitch and Scott. I will just share my screen now. So just before we jump into the Q&A section of our webinar, I just wanted to tell you very quickly about e-grading and a cutting-edge electric vehicle charging solution that's being put to the test in regional New South Wales. Did you know Wagners CFT structural profiles consistently deliver an elastic modulus of E40 compared to our competitors at E17 or E23? Elastic modulus, also known as Young's modulus, is a fundamental mechanical property that quantifies the stiffness of a material and measures how much a material will deflect when a load is applied. A higher elastic modulus indicates a stiffer material that undergoes less deformation under the same applied load. A lower modulus implies a more flexible material. Wagners FRP structural profiles deliver an E grading of E40, which means our structures can deliver a stiffness comparable to hard wood or light steel, making them ideal for a critical infrastructure where minimal deflection, longer spans, and a high structural performance is required. So if you'd like more information on elastic modulus or Wagners FRP E grading, use the QR code on the screen now, and I will also include the link in the follow-up email today. I also wanted to tell you about a world first trial currently underway in a tiny New South Wales town of Kew that could reshape how we approach EV charging in regional Australia. through a collaboration between Wagners CFT, Essential Energy and Charge Post, a fully integrated electric vehicle charger has been embedded directly into an FRP utility pole. This innovative solution makes use of existing infrastructure to deliver a cleaner, more efficient way to support Australia's energy transition, especially in communities where space and resources are limited. So if you'd like more information about the EV charger trial, use the QR code on the screen now, and I will also pop it in today's follow-up email. I'd now like to welcome Wagners CFT General Manager Ryan Leeson, who will be facilitating the Q&A session of the webinar today. Let's have a look at some of those questions, Ryan.
Thank you, Georgia, and thank you, Scotty and Mitch. First question is, how customisable are these designs? If you need to make changes to the bridge requirements, how would that sort of work? Say someone has a width they want of 2.75 metres rather than one of the standard ones nominated. How would that work? Mitch, that's you.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. It's me, is it? Okay, I'll take this one. Yeah, so obviously, usually for girder bridges, it's much more simple to change the width requirements, if that's what we're talking about. We can almost instantly facilitate a width change in a girder bridge just by simply adding another supporting member or spacing out the girders more. Truss bridges are a little bit more fixed, but we can definitely facilitate any width, any length if required. It just might not be the instantaneous design that we have off the shelf. It might require a few modifications to our Revit models and designs to get that through for you.
Thank you, Mitch.
Yeah, I just might add to that too. I think the length of girder bridges is going to be reasonably customizable, but the truss bridges that you'll see in that brochure are going to be pretty fixed. So yeah, that's just another, just as far as flexibility goes. As Mitch said, girder bridges are easy. Truss bridges are going to be a little bit more work from a design and delivery standpoint.
I think you mentioned that they are all still available. We are still running a total custom solution business as we always have, but the benefits you'll be able to derive from having a pre-engineered solution are only available at the nominated lengths, particularly for truss bridges. Am I summarising that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew Duncan, in relation to being an installation contractor, thank you for your question. We'll make sure one of the team reach out and have a discussion with you directly on that. Do you intend on adding a standard foundation design to the Signature Series bridges? So you sort of covered foundation design and the options there. Do we have, obviously we've provided headstock connection details and those sorts of things for others to do foundation design, but can our engineering team assist, be it contractors or design consultants or councils with those foundation designs? And do we have example foundation designs we can provide? Scotty?
Yeah, so it is something, standard foundation designs is something we're looking at. It's not something that's been released at this stage of the Signature Series. So for now, we're more than happy to help out with foundation design. We just require a geotech and confirmation that the loads we're putting forward in the Signature Series bridges are what's going to be actually imposed upon the structure as well. So as Mitch said, we do have some advantages to leaving the abutment structure a bit open, and that's that the installation contractor can work out whatever way is going to be most cost effective, whether it be screw piles, micro piles, bore piers, or even potentially using our members as a pier system as well. So we've left that flexibility there, but it is something that we are hoping to release in the future. I'd say as well, even with the standard build designs, like what we have now, we're very happy with to put forward, but it's not the end of our innovation and what we want to put forward to the client, and we'll keep updating these designs as we learn new things and pick up wins and get feedback from the clients as well. So yeah, happy that one.
I might just add to that, like if we were to, sorry, Ryan. I was just going to say that if we add to that, like if we do go down the path of standardized foundations, it would probably be a standard board pier style foundation with a minimum depth and then end bearing to be confirmed on site by geotech, and we'll specify the end bearing required, similar to sort of standard foundation options. So if that becomes largely requested, we will move into that space and nominate a board pier 600 millimeter design and a minimum depth, and then we specify a minimum end bearing required on site by geotech engineer. So that's probably how we would approach that if we go down that route.
Mitch, question here from our old friend Stewie Baker. Are you planning on extending the range over longer bridges, say over that 25 to 30 metre range that I think it currently caps out at? Scotty?
At this stage, no. I think it caps out at 30 metres at the moment, which is kind of, after 30 metres, you could argue we start to lose a bit of efficiency with our members. We can still look into those options. It will still be an option we provide, but at this stage, it's not something we're planning to add to the standard series, partly just because it's pretty rare for us, to be honest. Most of the inquiries that we get are from that kind of, let's say, 3 to 30 metre range, so that we're just trying to cover majority of the market with standard build. But as Mitch had mentioned before, we've been designing individual bridges for 25 years, so we're more than happy to help if you guys have a longer bridge, and we have done longer bridges before as well. So we definitely don't cap out at 30 metres.
Thank you, Scotty. Question here from Jacob in New Zealand around the weight of bridges. So, Jacob, I might get Mark, our New Zealand representative, to contact you directly, but just from a more generalist point of view, Mitch, this may be more of a you question. They're currently using steel and aluminium for their spans between 12 and 20 metres, and they need to weigh less than 1 tonne, so they can be installed by helicopter. Do you have any idea on what a 16-metre truss or girder bridge might weigh off the top of your head? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, about 5 tonne. If it's fully fitted out, I think about 5 tonne for a 16-metre truss bridge, depending on the width. There or thereabouts, 5 to maybe 7 tonne. So I think if you're weight limited for helicopters, you'd probably do the partial assembly option. So you just crane in bits and pieces you need. Obviously, you could, for a girder bridge that's 12 metres, you might be able to just leave off the decking and the handrail, and you sneak underneath that 1 tonne limit perhaps, and then you just crane in the decking and attach the handrail after the bridge is landed. So that's probably the route we go down for that, if we have to keep under the 1 tonne limit.
We can probably provide Jacob a bit more of a breakdown on all the different, because these are all pre-designed to click of a button to spit the weights out, I believe. So we can probably share that across with Mark to be in touch with Jacob.
Yeah, the weights for the full structure will be on the drawings themselves, but then obviously if you want a breakdown of different components, we can easily provide that as well.
You might be able to lift individual girders in and keep it under 1 tonne potentially, and then, as Mitch said, just keep adding components within the weight limit as well. So yeah, definitely a few options we could help with.
Just as far as the certification for independent certifying engineers, so we've had some of our regular certifying engineers look over it that indicate they're comfortable with it. Can we provide calcs packages and a breakdown of the work that we've done for a certifying engineer to be able to review quickly if it's a specific client requirement or something like that?
Yep. Yeah, so we'll have calcs for each of the signature series bridges available upon request. So that's all been done in-house and then reviewed externally, so we can provide those calculations if required.
You mentioned in one of the earlier discussions around the debris mat and handrails. Is there I know we often get asked this question around a collapsible handrail solution that enables the reduction in debris mat size to make it more resilient for high flood locations? Is that something that can be incorporated sort of as an addition to the signature series, or is that a total different design from scratch?
It's probably more of a handrail design solution, so not just on our bridges, but boardwalk structures as well. And I think we haven't currently got a standard solution, but we have done collapsible handrails before. So I think could definitely look into that as adding it to our standard handrail option as a collapsible handrail rather than a fixed handrail. We often consider that aluminium infill panel as sacrificial in our design, so to eliminate the risk of debris hitting the handrail and the aluminium infills, they're often designed to fail so that the actual structure doesn't get damaged. There's one route we go down often for handrails and floodlights.
Yeah,
Very
on
good.
that
As
too,
far as the
regarding custom designs, sorry, Brian. I was going to say we have incorporated other handrail systems on our structure as well. So if you've got a ModX collapsible handrail or something like that you'd like to attach to the girder, it's not part of our standard design, but it's definitely something we can look at too, and might be a simple solution.
Very good. Just as far as you spoke around prefabrication, what sort of feedback have you had around benefits or the opportunity gain from having things prefabricated? Why would it be more efficient, I guess, for Wagners to prefab it at our factories rather than site teams do it? Why do people often go with the prefab option or the partially prefab option?
I think it just mainly comes down to cost, Ryan. So we're doing it in a controlled environment on a concrete slab with carpenters, and we're doing the same bay over and over again and just trying to speed through those as fast as possible. And our costs compared to a on-site stick-by-stick installation in tough conditions, I think overall time spent on the build is much less. And although we're paying for cranes or whatever else to implement in site, creating a fully assembled section in place and then moving to the next one, greatly speeds up installation, and it limits the amount of work. We're doing our work and our cutting in a very controlled space as well, as for like environmental impact. So dust control, all that sort of stuff in a controlled environment rather than trying to do it on site. So I think environmental limitations also are a factor when people consider that option. So creating in a fully assembled section just to be bolted together rather than worrying about trying to cut joists off and measure with a tape measure and then cut your joists and trim a joist and stuff like that. It just is a lot easier to put together, and you might not need as many qualified carpenters to build it. You might only need a few guys to just fit it all together as it cranes in rather than a full installation crew.
Okay, and the last question I had here was around Wagner's support for on-site installations. If there's someone listening online, maybe they're a council that has a crew that's not familiar with building bridges, but are generally quite practical and tooled up sort of people, does Wagner's have the opportunity to support training and upskilling those crews to enable them to keep their own installation costs down, or a local contractor in, I think Andrew here, I can't even pronounce that word, Oromimba, if there's someone in that region that wants to become more familiar with it, is there a opportunity there for Wagners to help support that process?
Yep. So I'll jump in here. We've got, as Mitch mentioned before, we've got our own chippies and bridge builders on site, which we can send to assist for a week, 2 weeks, few days, whatever the client needs. As well, if you're looking for someone to install it, we've also got our list of installation partners right across Australia, so we can get you in contact with them. But we're happy to help either way.
I might just
Fantastic.
say the best way to upskill on a project is to undertake an install. So get your hands, try and find a project and get Wagner spec'd in it and build it. But if you want to upskill as well, a factory tour and meetings on site here at our facility would greatly be of benefit to you, because we can run you through every step of the way and show you how to cut, how to drill, how to build things in person rather than over a Teams call, or if you aren't undertaking install at that time but you still wanted to get upskilled, that's probably the way to do it, is to come out to our facility and get our chippies to run you through all steps of the installation process.
Very good. Thank you, guys. I think that concludes our questions for today, Georgia. Back to you.
Thanks, Ryan. So that does conclude our presentation for today. A big thank you to Mitch and Scott for their involvement, and also thank you to Ryan for facilitating that Q&A session. Let me just share my screen. So if you'd like to share your thoughts on today's webinar, please feel free to complete the feedback form using the QR code on the screen now, or I will also just pop that link in the chat now. Or perhaps you'd like to be a guest speaker. If that's the case, fill out the feedback form and let me know. You could also reach out to me on LinkedIn, send me an email or give me a call. However you want to contact me, I would love to hear from you. Coming up in September, we'll be exploring common footing systems used to support FRP structures, the crucial role of geotechnical investigations, key design principles for footing specification, and how innovative FRP-driven piles can enhance durability, material efficiency, and construction simplicity compared to traditional materials, with guest speaker, Impact Structural Engineers Director, Matt Goring. So if you're interested in this webinar, use the QR code on the screen now to register for your free online seat or to receive a recorded copy of the webinar. The link will also be in the chat, and we will also include it in the follow-up email after today's webinar. That concludes our webinar for today. Thanks very much for coming, and we're going to go out on the video of the inspiration for the signature series. Enjoy, and we look forward to seeing you next time.